All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Today we're tackling this excerpt.
Okay.
It's pretty wild. It gets into like the nature of reality.
Oh, wow.
And perception, and whether what we experience is, actually real or some kind of illusion.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Like our brains just kind of making stuff up as it goes along.
Interesting.
So, buckle up. This is going to be a fun one.
I'm ready.
I think the core concept here is that our brains don't actually experience the world directly.
Okay.
Right? It's all through electrical signals and interpretations.
Interesting.
And the excerpt makes this analogy. It says, quote, "Everything we perceive, from the taste of chocolate to the warmth of the sun, is ultimately a cascade of electrical signals processed by our brain."
Right. It's not like we're directly plugging into reality.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like our brain is constantly creating this kind of movie of reality based on the data that it's getting. Yeah.
And that makes you wonder, what happens if the data is messed up?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Or if it's incomplete, what then?
Yeah. What if we're missing pieces?
Yeah.
Or the pieces are wrong?
Yeah.
And that's where I think this whole brain in a vat idea comes in.
The classic.
Brain in a vat.
This thought experiment.
It's a good one.
Yeah. It really gets you thinking.
For sure.
Have you heard about this before?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so basically, imagine, right? You're just a brain floating in a vat somewhere, hooked up to this, super sophisticated computer.
Right.
And it's feeding you all these sensory experiences, right?
Creating the world for you.
Creating the world. And the excerpt puts it like this, quote, "I am merely a brain in a laboratory connected to a sophisticated simulation. That feeds me sensory inputs."
Chippy, yeah.
How would you even know?
Right, that's the question.
If that was your reality.
Exactly. Is there any way to know?
No, you could be living your whole life in the vat.
And think it was totally normal.
And be completely oblivious.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy when you think about it.
It is. It's a little creepy.
What if we are?
But it's also kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Because it makes you
wonder.
Question everything, right?
They questioned everything.
Even if we're not brains in vats.
Yeah.
It still makes you think about how much we can actually trust what we're perceiving, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe our senses aren't as reliable as we think.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah. And then the excerpt goes on to talk about sleep.
Sleep, interesting.
Which is another big mystery.
Huge mystery.
Right. We spend so much time unconscious.
We do.
And the source asks, could sleep be more than just a biological necessity? Perhaps it is a reset for the brain.
A reset.
A way to filter, process, or even recalibrate after encountering the vast, potentially overwhelming input of the simulated world.
That's a new way to look at it.
Right, maybe we sleep because our brains get overloaded.
Yeah.
Processing all this information.
Processing all the data.
From the simulation, so to speak.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and sleep is hitting the reset button.
The reset button, yeah.
So we can start fresh the next day.
That's an interesting theory.
What did you think about that?
I've definitely had days where I felt like my brain was fried.
Right.
Just completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, it just can't take any more input.
Exactly.
So maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, maybe.
And this could also explain dreams.
Dreams? Oh, yeah.
What if dreams are just our brains sorting through all this? Simulated data,
Trying to make sense of it all.
Trying to make sense of it.
And creating these weird narratives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would explain a lot.
I like that. It all ties together. So, okay, we've got this idea that our brains are constructing reality, maybe even processing it in our sleep.
Right.
But where does that leave us with, free will?
The big question.
Yeah. If our experiences are basically a simulation, are we really making choices?
That's the thing, right?
Or is it all predetermined?
If it's all pre-programmed, do we actually have free will?
Like in the Matrix, right? Everything was kind of already decided.
Yeah.
The excerpt puts it this way. It asks, are we autonomous beings living in a tangible world? Or are we unwitting participants?
Unwitting
in an elaborate construct? Our actions and thoughts merely pre-programmed responses. That's a heavy thought, right?
That is, yeah.
Are we really in control?
Yeah.
Or are we just puppets in some grand scheme?
That's the ultimate question.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, if there's any way to test this.
Right, like could we actually figure it out?
Like find a glitch in the matrix.
A glitch in the matrix.
Like in the movie.
Exactly, some kind of clue.
You know, some kind of evidence.
That things aren't what they seem.
Yeah, some physicists and philosophers, they think there might be ways, like they're looking for inconsistencies in the laws of physics.
Okay.
Or like patterns in the universe. That could suggest a simulation.
Yeah, like little hints.
Yeah, like little hints, right?
That we're in a computer program.
That reality isn't what it seems.
That's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. But even if we can't prove or disprove the simulation, just thinking about these questions can really, like, expand our understanding of consciousness and reality.
It definitely makes you think
Okay.
about things in a new way.
The excerpt even says that embracing uncertainty can lead to new insights and perspectives.
That's true.
So even if it's uncomfortable to question everything, it can also be really valuable.
I think that's one of the big takeaways here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So just to kind of sum things up, right?
Right.
We've been talking about this idea that our perception of reality might be way more complex and maybe even illusory than we think.
Yeah.
Like our brains are, constantly interpreting and filtering
Filtering?
and maybe even fabricating
Wow.
elements of our experience.
So what does that mean for us in terms of like truth and knowledge?
Exactly. That's the big question.
I think if our senses can be tricked,
Right.
if this movie of reality can be manipulated, either by our brains or by something else, some outside force.
What can we really trust?
Yeah, what can we rely on?
As a solid foundation.
For understanding the world.
That's something to think about.
It is, yeah.
That's what I hope you'll take away from this deep dive.
Keep pondering it.
Keep pondering it.
Even after the episode is over.
Exactly.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one.
So thanks for joining us.
I know, right? Mind blown.
Mind blown for sure.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a wild ride.
It has been a wild ride. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next Deep Dive.